welcome back to Beholder to No One, a D&D podcast. Today, we are actually here for a not D&D related game, and that is Weirdspace. This is a game that Paul, who is with us today.
Good morning.
Paul created this over the last, I think it was 16 years, you said?
You're right, yes. It's been in development for about 16 years and has an entire decade of weekly playtesting behind it as well.
That's
Jeez.
a lot.
It is.
Oh. So, tell us a little bit about Weirdspace.
Weirdspace was written more or less as a sandbox game rather than a specific linear storyline. It's a really nice, simple, D percentage system, as in roll 2 die. If you can get under your target number, it's managed to do it. And the whole system was written more or less in either friends' houses or in pubs during lock-ins.
Well, I can see where some of the themes came from.
Yeah, it's very much what we call a beer and pretzels game, as in you don't really need to spend a lot of time learning the rules system. You can just jump straight in and start playing.
It's always good.
Absolutely.
So Weirdspace is a space game, and I noticed there's aliens, there's spaceships.
Yep.
There's quite a few, this is a futuristic looking game from what I can tell.
Mostly, yes.
So what made you go... Well, I guess I should start from the beginning. What is your history on role-playing and tabletop games overall, not just Weirdspace related?
Right. Well, I started off with things like the Games Workshop and Warhammer and stuff like that. And then they brought out a game called Inquisitor, which is slightly larger models, but they had the option of speaking to each other, and that got my imagination going. After that, a friend of mine introduced me to a White Wolf game called Werewolf the Forsaken. And then after that, tried my hand as being a GM or DM, just running my own game. And then the homebrew sort of got a bit out of hand.
That would do it. Have you ever played like D&D and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I'm in a D&D campaign at the moment playing a Tabaxi Thief.
Nice.
Those always
Gotta love Tabaxi.
Those always go together for some reason.
It's that whole curiosity aspect. He's breaking in some ways. I don't know if you've ever had a cat or if you've known anybody who has cats.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever side of a door they're on, it is automatically the wrong side of the door.
Yes, 100%.
Believe me, I know.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was yelling at my cat because I'm like, oh my god, Pixel, shut the fuck up. Because he just kept meowing at the door.
Yeah, then you open the door for the cat and the cat's just sat there like, yes, thank you, human.
And then
As
he's
will we
outside
all.
and like, I want back in. Let me back in.
Yeah.
So, did you take you said you took inspiration from the like Warhammer games and stuff like that, but did you take inspiration from D&D at all, or did you ever play like Starfinder, which is another space game? Which you created this prior to Starfinder existing,
Yeah.
but did that help? Did that influence you at all if you ever played it?
To be honest with you, I came a bit late to the party as far as D&D was concerned. I started off with things like the Red Dwarf role-playing game, SLA Industries, and a few other sci-fi games like that, and then sort of branched out into the fantasy elements, which is probably the wrong way around for a lot of people.
There's no wrong way.
Yeah, I suppose not. As long as you're all having fun, that's the main thing, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, with Warhammer and things like that, when there is nothing but war. There's no negotiation. There's no version where the Dark Elves sit down with the Space Marines and go, you know what? I think we could talk this out over a cup of tea.
I honestly would love that. That would just be amazing addition to any war game. It's like, yeah. I would be that person, which is what we're doing actually in the game that we're in currently for Behold Clearlight. There's so many times I'm like, I think I could talk him out of it, and like, it's a monster. I was like, I'm gonna try.
Yeah, it's like the first time I played D&D. It's like, all right, so we're walking towards this cave. There's a ghoul stood outside of it. I'm thinking, all right, okay. Has anyone tried talking to him? It's like, Dobby Daft. It's an undead monstrosity. So they shoot at it, and he goes, what are you doing? It's like, oh, this ghoul can speak. It's like, right. So we didn't try talking to it before shooting it. We just thought you'd fire an arrow at it. Fair enough, there. We had a conversation with an arrow through its head.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Well, I've played Starfinder, and I like the way that the world works. Is they have like separate books with aliens and stuff like that. That are just like new species, and they have extra planets and lore on all the planets, and it's really in depth. Do you intend to increase? I saw that there were some aliens in your book. Or do you intend to increase those alien options? And I also saw that you could make your own alien, which is something that I've never seen before in Starfinder. I have seen that in Savage Worlds, though.
Oh, yes. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, character optimization is not really a thing. Character customization definitely, most certainly is. We've got tables in the book where you can generate a new planet in very, very little time. And as far as the alien races and the playable options, nothing is off the table. It's a case of if you want to try and create an alien that you've seen in a TV series or a film or something like that, you can do it with this. We've had so many bizarre aliens being created, and then we just sort of find them a homeworld, or do it the other way around, develop a planet, and then trying to figure out what kind of alien race would live on that planet.
Interesting. I do like that customization option, because then you could, every time you could play something different that's unique that you've never tried before.
Oh yeah.
And there are people who do love to take inspiration from movies, and I saw one of those things that you wrote in here was that you have like Legolas and RoboCop and things like that as characters that have been created based off TV shows using the system.
It's a case
So I know
of
quite a few people who would like that.
yeah. I mean, it's like whenever we get a new player sit down at the table, it's a case of all right. So what kind of thing can I play? Because well, that's my question to you. What do you want to play? It's like okay, well, I want to play a Victorian steampunk explorer with his own little spaceship. So, okay. Like, right, okay. Well, he wants to do that. What do you want to play? I want to play Killer Croc from the Batman games. It's like, all right, that's possible as well. So, really? Okay. In the same game? Yes. Okay. What do you want to play? I want to play a Necromancer. Goes, okay, fill your boots. Oh, all right. Yeah. One of the best character concepts anybody ever came up with was a Necromancer who believed he was actually just a really, really good healer because nobody ever went on his table and didn't walk off and didn't walk away from it.
That's amazing.
That's great. It seems like this could be very easily like a magical based system, or just straight futuristic, or straight like steampunk-esque, but in space. And it could be very easily tweaked to fit whatever game style or world you wanted.
Yeah, we've done that before now. We've done like a proper Lord of the Rings style game. Don't know if you've ever read a book called Grunts by Mary Gentle. It's about this bunch of orcs that find some modern day weaponry, or as they call it, it's like these magic sticks with these runes on the side. AK-47.
Nice.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, and then they sort of, well, it's a very, very funny game. It's a very funny book. It's got a lot of very, very dry British humour in it.
I'll have to add that to a list of books that are already on my really long list of books to read.
Yeah, there's a couple of bits where they're taking the mickey out of things like Lord of the Rings, and there's even one bit where they take the mickey out of Aliens. You know, the Ridley Scott film. He says, right, so what's going on then? Well, we found a little girl running around the ducts in the vents. Because, all right, and because we ate her, sir. Bit of gallipot, it was lovely. It's like, all right, carry on.
Amazing.
And that's the kind of thing that you can definitely have in this game. If you wanted to play a huge space orc with marine technologies and things like that, it's entirely possible. We've had characters, as I said, Necromancer / Doctor in the book as well. We've had one of my absolute all-time favorite characters was like a 7-foot muscle-bound cat. We decided to make 2 planets of them. One called Felis, and one called Feral.
Nice.
So we got one that's like more of the domesticated cats. The other one's more of a huge saber-toothed tiger type of a thing.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So there's different elements of it, and the Floranas is another good one as well. The plant-based creatures. and some that have been done based on actual flowers like roses and tulips and things like that. They're really sort of self-centered and vain and loving the colourful petals for hair and things like that. And then we've got the other ones like they're like cacti. They've got waxy, tough skin and spines all over them. So every alien race that I've got in the book can be taken a number of different ways.
The customization options do seem to be rather diverse. I'm very excited to sink my teeth into creating a character and all that.
Oh yeah, if we do like a one-shot event or something like that, we've got a few pre-generated characters from the Quick Start Guide available now on Drive-Thru RPG. But if you wanted to have a go at making your own, go for it.
I will certainly be doing that.
So, reading through, one of the first thing that is apparent in the rules is that you do not use the D20 system, which many people in the TTRPG world are accustomed to. You use the percentile or 2d10s.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that versus a D20 or like a D6 system at like Shadowrunner's Mech Warrior do?
Oh, right. That's mostly down to the Inquisitor game.
Okay.
Because with the Games Workshop Inquisitor, that all used percentages. So for me at the time, it was really familiar. And then with other games as well that use the D100 system, like most of the Call of Cthulhu games, there's another really good one called A-State, which I believe is getting a second edition at some time in the very near future, that also uses the D percentage systems. So with that kind of thing, it just makes things really nice and simple. You know full well that if you've got a 60% chance of doing something and you can roll under 60%, you've got it. You've made it happen. It's just, it doesn't need much in the way of explaining, which is brilliant for things like convention games or one-shot nights.
I actually have never played a system that used a percentile, so that's really interesting.
Nor have I.
I have
Oh,
Call of
we start on those two, the good ones then.
Yeah, I have Call of Cthulhu on my list of things I want to try, but I didn't realize it was a percentile system. I hadn't actually looked at the
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like a D20 version of it somewhere because it is a very popular system.
Probably. So in
Yeah.
this world, the 0 to 5, because you said that you don't use the 1 to 100 rules on the dice, you use 0 to 99. So 0 to 5 is a critical success, and then 95 to 99 is a critical fail.
Yeah, so there's a smidgen more chance of getting a critical pass. But if you get 95 or more, then yeah, you've definitely caused some damage somewhere that you shouldn't have done.
That's a good way to put it.
And I saw that you get pluses and minuses based off like difficulty and stuff like that. So your examples are like, if you're trying to point blank shoot somebody, it's plus 90%. So does that mean
Hmm.
that you have
Yeah.
to hit 90 or higher to succeed?
No, that'd be 90 or less.
I'm sorry, 90 or less is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a roll under system, which means if you've got a high stat in something, it makes it a lot easier to make it work for you.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if you've got strength 80 and a close combat of 20, then you're very very good at lifting things up. But actually punching something might be a bit beyond you because you've just not got the hand-eye coordination there.
And I see that you can do aiming and you could do called shots, which are some things that other games don't necessarily offer, which I think is actually a fun aspect to add because you are taking the time to actually try to shoot somebody if you're specifically trying to shoot somebody. But I did like the option of called shots, especially since you seem to have rules on things that happen, if I remember correctly, if it hits a certain part of your body, which is something like Mech Warrior does.
Yeah, we've got a few tables for things like the in the chest table and the in the face table and others like of that specific type. So if you shoot somebody in the face but you don't manage to kill them, it could disfigure them, it could take an eye out, it could, take an ear off. Each one of those sort of things would have negative effects on the character long term.
So if you don't aim, is it you roll to determine what is hit?
Yeah, you can.
Interesting.
Yeah, you just roll. If you've got a copy of the character sheet in front of you, you'll notice that there's it's been split up into 10 different locations.
Yeah.
So once you've shot somebody, if you manage to hit them, you roll on that. Maybe your character's got a skill which means you're more accurate with the gun. So, for example, I think it's either Deadeye Shot or Marksman or something like that. It means you might be able to move the location you've struck by 1 or 2 in a particular direction.
Oh, that's fun. I
Yeah.
actually, I keep bringing up other games because those are the games I've actually played. So I'm trying to like correlate it to something I've played before. In Mech Warrior, you're fighting these giant mech systems, and when you target, you actually do roll the same concept. You roll to see what part of the mech you're hitting, and depending on where you hit, depends on what could happen. So like if you hit the chest, like in this situation, you have a higher chance of like exploding because that's where the battery is. Or if you hit the head, you have a higher chance of killing the person inside because that's where they are sitting.
That's where the pilot is,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that one. And yeah, that's pretty much the exact same ethos behind it.
I actually like that. And I like that headshots are challenging, but also it seems more deadly because there's only 4 spots on that one versus 6.
Yeah. Yeah, you're quite right. The head is a much smaller target filled with much more important things in there. Well, I say that it's filled with much more important things. For a standardized character, it would be. If you've got all the robotic parts like a head drive or what have you, there's no reason why you have to have your backup personality file in your actual skull. It could be somewhere else.
That's fair. What if you could you make an alien where the head is not where their brain is?
Yes, you could do. I mean, for ease of use, we'd just have to move it around so that if you shoot them in the head, then you've actually shot them in, something particularly delicate. But yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't have a second heart or a second brain or something else like that elsewhere in the body.
Interesting.
Make it a properly unrecognizable mass of alien. There's no reason why you have to be limited to 2 arms and 2 legs either.
Very true. Very true.
You have 2 arms, 2 legs, 4 eyes, some tentacles.
Just throw limbs out. You got it.
Yeah, whatever you
It's
need.
like, how many limbs do you have? 20.
How many do you have?
Oh.
All of them.
All. Yeah.
All the limbs.
All of them.
So, other than the games that you've mentioned, were there any in the one book that you mentioned? Were there any like what do you take inspiration from? Do you take inspiration from music or from other games or like video games or TV shows or anything like that?
Oh yes, mostly it's films and TV shows and music and things like that. Pretty much any media can give you some sort of can spark an idea off. I mean, Firefly or the Star Wars movies.
Oh yeah, I love Firefly.
Red Dwarf is a big one as well for me. If you, I mean, with my particular system, if you imagined Red Dwarf, but instead of it just being 4 guys and out in space, very rarely coming across anything, imagine that, but in a much more populated universe, and that's what I'm going for.
Oh, Red Dwarf is a show. I just googled it. I didn't know it was a show.
Please tell me you've never. Please tell me you haven't missed out on Red Dwarf.
I had never heard
I
of it
think we
before.
both have, yes.
Oh, good grief!
I will add that to my list of things right now.
British sci-fi comedy franchise.
Yes, start with season 1, episode 1, and move on from there. After season 7, it goes a little bit downhill, but yeah. Oh, you were gonna love that.
I'm excited.
Looks like there's 12 seasons.
Sounds about right. Yeah, well, each season's only about 6 episodes long, and they're only like half-hour episodes.
Okay, that's not too bad. And it looks like, hey, they're filming a season 13. It's been 3 years since their last season, it looks like, but they say that they are releasing season 13 in October 2020, supposedly. So
It's news to me. I'll look forward to that.
there you go. Don't quote me because it was randomly on the internet, but
I can believe everything we see on the internet, though, can't
clearly.
Obviously.
we?
So when you started this 16 some odd years ago, what did it take for you to get from nothing to what you have today? Was it just trial and error, or was it just like a couple of nights at the pub, like you mentioned, and hashing out a new system with somebody?
Well, once we got the major mechanics down, it was at that point it was just working out the fine details, giving it to a bunch of players and saying, right, try and break this system. Try to min-max your characters to the most extreme you can do. Some people were really good at that. Some people not so much. But yeah, things got tweaked every now and again. Things like the merits and flaws, the bonuses and negative aspects of the characters. There's one which was called acid blood, which was a case of if you had acid blood, you got shot, it would spray out this acid everywhere, and your enemies around you would get injured. And I thought, yeah, it makes a brilliant merit to have in your character.
Yeah, for sure.
But then in actual play, it brought up a whole lot of a whole lot of situations where it's like, okay, so you've been shot and you've been injured, right? Okay, the doctor comes over, he puts his scalpel to try and get something out of you, and his scalpel melts. It's like,
Oh.
it's like you got shot, and you were stood next to a lot of friends, so they get sprayed with acid as well. It's like, right, okay,
So a lot of trial and error with
Yeah.
good in
And then the other
concept, but
time, he got injured on a spaceship. It's a case of, right, so is this acid just going to burn its way out the spaceship now? It's like, possibly, yes.
I would like to hope that the people who built the spaceship had the idea that there might be a creature that has acidic blood on board this ship, and it might get hurt in some way. So they kind of created a metal or some kind of alloy that resists the acidity of the blood.
Potentially, yeah, but this particular spaceship didn't have that.
Well, good.
They landed real quick. So then at that point, of course, it's a case of the characters are like, okay, so we're going to get some passengers on board, right? Okay. Some of these people might be a little bit dangerous. Okay. Do any of you have acid blood? He goes, yes. Right. Okay. We'd rather not take you on the spaceship. From previous experience, you're a bit on the unpredictable side there, or would you mind stepping into this cryo chamber?
That's a way to go around it. Cryo chamber.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we made it we switched it from being a positive aspect to being a very, very negative aspect, because then it's a case of, right, this person steps out. This alien race is famous for having acid blood. It's a case of, right, let's be very, very careful with that one. And whatever you do, don't stab them.
I'm kind of imagining that character using it to their advantage, kind of like Blood Hunter in 5th edition, where they slice their hand open in front of the enemy, so they get all the enemies, and they hurt themselves, but they help their allies, but they just have to make sure to stay away from their allies at all times when they're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it was used for a prison escape before now.
That's fair. Prick your finger, melt down the bars.
Yeah, just go through the bars. Yeah,
I got this.
Yeah, it's like I've got weaponized blood. I can get out of this. Yeah, we can do this.
That would be fun to play though.
Lots of different things that you can do with that.
Definitely. Again, though, more negatives than positive aspects to it.
Right, of course. All good has to have a bad connect.
Well, yeah, I mean that's part and parcel of how the character creation thing was brought about. It's a case of, right, so I want this many positive aspects for my character, so I have to take that many negative aspects for the character as well as.
Yeah.
It makes character creation really, really simple.
Yeah, and it balances it out so people can't make something super ridiculous, but also that has the things they want, but also add some negative aspects to it, which is nice. I like when systems balance that. That's one thing in like Pathfinder and stuff like that, where you have flaws and hindrances and drawbacks and traits where they balance each other out, and the drawbacks give you some sort of negative, but the traits give you some sort of positive, and they just happen to balance out.
Yeah, it gives you more of a more well-rounded character.
For sure. Thanos approved.
Bet he does.
So when you did your you said you've been doing weekly playtests. When you do your playtests and something is found like the alien blood or the acid blood, you take that information and you tweak it and you make adjustments to the book?
I've done, yeah. That happened for, as I say, about a decade. I mean, I'm still not 100% finished with it, because as soon as you bring out somebody else on board and say, right, have a look at this, tell me what you think, they'll always spot something that nobody else has spotted before.
Right. It's really based off people's mindsets and
people's own experiences and how they see the world. Yeah, it's like some people will just look at something and think, yeah, that's perfectly fine. And other people will think, oh, I can abuse that.
That's for sure.
It's like, oh, acid blood. Yeah, I can see all the negative sides of that, but I know exactly what I could do to tweak that to my advantage as well as. And people have done that with pretty much everything with it.
I'm sure.
I think that's with every game, though, too. There are
Exactly
people
right,
who
though.
just have that mindset of breaking the game as much as possible because that's how they have fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, as an author, as a creator of a game as well, it helps me out a lot because then it means that everything could be, you know, evened out over time as well. It's like you can have the flaw that you're a smoker. So it's not really a big flaw, really. And then we've got the merit side of things, which, for the equivalent of having that as a flaw, you could also have, a 20% in piloting. So it's only little on both sides.
I was thinking something like iron lungs, so you can like hold your breath longer or something.
Well, to be honest with you, that's not really a thing in the book at the moment. That's down to your toughness.
Oh, fair enough.
Toughness divided by 10, and that's how long you can hold your breath for.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Although that again was abused. We had a player playing a like a space orc type thing. It's like, okay, so I'm here. I got strength and toughness of this. They've got a spaceship over there. I know exactly how many hit points it takes to go through the windscreen.
Mhm.
He mathed it out right that he could get in the airlock in this spaceship, open the outside door, have it fling him over there. He could then hack his way through the windscreen, and then when that blew out, all the air, he could then sail that back into the airlock on the original ship again.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
I know it's daft. But he figured out that he could hold his breath for like almost 4 minutes.
Interesting.
Jeez.
So it's kind of like Constitution for 5th edition, where it's a minute per.
Pretty much, yeah, but he weaponized holding his breath. I should point out that with that one, he had a demonic patron deity, which upped his strength and his toughness by a silly amount, but only for a very short period of time, approximately 5 minutes.
That's all
Just
he
long
needed.
enough.
Just long enough for him to screw up an entire spaceship all by himself.
That's absolutely amazing. I adore that.
Mm. Now tell me, if that wasn't a TV show or a film, that you wouldn't absolutely love that.
Absolutely.
So speaking of spaceships, I see that there are spaceships, obviously, but can you create your own spaceship?
Oh yes, yeah. We've got a whole list of parts that you can just mix and match and put them together in whatever format or whatever style you want. You want a little two-man little run-around spaceship type thing, you can do that. You want to try and build the Enterprise or Battlestar Galactica with a full complement of its own smaller spaceships, you most certainly can. And it's just a matter of cost at that point.
That's fair. I like the
Mm.
aspect of building things that fit your party's needs. So if you're going with like a stealthy party, then maybe you want to have a smaller but stealthy and fast option versus
Oh yeah. Get yourself a cloaking device and things like that on it.
Absolutely.
but that would also have
Mm.
negatives versus a bigger spaceship that has more armor and more defense options and offense options.
Oh yeah.
It's always fun.
If one spots the other one first, then it's got an advantage on it.
There you go. It's more of a recon vessel than a warship.
Yeah, exactly right.
So the stealth one, you only need one gun and that guy that can hold his breath for 4 minutes, and you got
Pretty
this.
much. Yeah, just one airlock that you can point in the right direction.
We just need a man-sized cannon. That's all we need.
Man cannon.
Yep. It's like one weapon, please. Man cannon. What? What? Don't ask questions.
You ever been to the circus?
It kind of looks like an airlock, just a tiny little airlock hatch with a quick release top to it. Yeah, it could definitely be done. Could definitely could be generated for the rule system without any real hassle there.
Yeah, I really like the just the idea that it kind of invites new players because you just have free reign of basically free reign of whatever you want to make.
Oh yeah.
So the rules aren't super rigid, which is great for new players because I know personally a bunch of people who kind of strayed away from playing D&D because the rules are. I mean, granted, D&D, you can adjust them as needed, but people look at the book and they're like, that's a lot of there's a lot in there, and I don't feel the need to sit down and read through it to try to understand what I'm going to be doing playing this game, so they kind of strays them away.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean there. And with this one, we've had players up and running inside of 10 minutes.
Nice.
They've sort of sat back for a little bit and think, watched how everybody else is doing, and then it's just a case of, right, okay, I'm going to try and I'm going to step out this doorway and I'm going to throw this frying pan at the tank. So, okay, well, have a look in the book, find the damage profile for a frying pan. Okay, done. Right. Now, roll under your close combat. I'm going to give you a plus 20% modifier because you're literally throwing it at something the size of a tank. All right, I've hit it. Okay, now roll for your damage and we'll see if it gets through the tank's armor. And at that point, it's like the realization dawns on them that, yes, they've hit it, but it's not going to do anything.
But it was badass regardless.
Yeah, it's like step out there, superhero pose, fling, pang. Ah.
Well,
Okay, now the tank knows where you are.
perfect. That was my plan all along.
Yeah, and it's like, and run.
Monty Python style.
Exactly right.
You can also, it looks like, build your own magical abilities.
Yeah, you can. If you wanted to play, Harry Potter in space, that's another possibility for you.
I'm sure some people would want to do that.
Absolutely.
I'm frankly surprised that it didn't go in that direction. We couldn't have had, Harry Potter year 3000 sort of thing. Voldemort's back for a second time.
Oh boy.
The great descendant of Harry Potter himself, Jeff. Jeff Potter.
Jeff Potter.
He's now back out into the fight again. Just him, his magic wand, and laser cannon.
In space, no one can hear you, Flipendo.
I mean, that's not wrong.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, we've got that. We've got like psychic abilities as well as, sort of for a more X-Men feel of things.
I saw that. I saw psychic abilities. I saw employment options to earn income.
Yeah, just it's more inspiration than anything else. I mean, I'm not expecting, a full play group to want to go be priests.
Well, then why are they even here?
Well, it's one of those things. You might have somebody who's decided to quit a life of adventuring to become a wandering priest. Not that I'm borrowing that idea directly from Firefly or anything.
No, of course not.
Of course not, no.
Well, I see on here that there's like musicians, which honestly, I think it'd be funny to have like just a party of space musicians, a band that are just playing small gigs and hoping the talent scout picks them up.
That's good. I like that.
We could go the entire opposite direction and be like, Death Clock or Motley Crue in space, going on this massive epic adventure.
Oh, I love the idea of Death Clock in space.
Space Clock.
Space. Amazing.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping you from doing that as well. All you need is a few people to play the individual band members. You could even have like a Spinal Tap, where the drummer keeps getting killed off.
Always the drummer. Why?
Always the drummer. I mean, have you seen Spinal Tap?
No, I have not.
Oh, good grief! Right, add that onto your list right after Red Dwarf.
Got it right here. Spinal Tap.
It's like a mockumentary of this 80s hair metal band.
Okay, and the drummer keeps getting killed off.
The drummer keeps getting killed, just like Kenny from South Park.
Oh God, yes.
God damn it.
During the film, I think they're on like 6 or 7 drummers.
Jesus. Okay, cool. I'm into it.
Oh yeah.
I'll probably throw that on right after we're done here.
Oh, it's a good film. I mean, if you've seen what's that vampire thing called? It's got Taika Waititi in it. What We Do in the Shadows.
I have seen that.
Yeah, it's shot in a similar sort of a similar vein to that. Is in sort of a mockumentary.
Amazing. I loved What We Do in the Shadows, so I'm sure I'm gonna love Spinal Tap.
Oh, that one line in the film about the sandwich was just absolutely floored me. Oh dear. But yeah, as far as this is concerned, if you wanted to play vampires in space who happen to be in a band, that's again something you can do. We've got rules for vampires.
Awful lot of versatility in this, and that's something that really enthralls me for sure.
Yeah, it's more of a case of it's not what the system can, what sort of things would fit in the system. Is what do you want to play, and yes, it can fit.
You just have to figure out how to make it work.
Exactly right. And with it being such a simple dice system as well, it's not difficult to come up with new equipment or new weaponry or new skills or anything like that. You could even borrow skills directly out of an existing book.
That's always fun. Or like take something and tweak it maybe to fit what you want it to be.
Yeah, you can shoehorn pretty much anything you like in the system.
Oh, I just saw that you have drugs in here.
Excuse me? Oh, the book, yes.
Yes, in the book.
Thought we were talking to Greg there for a second.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I played a druggie in one of my games. Or she was a hippie who really, really, really liked drugs.
Oh.
And there weren't any actual like rules to make. It was just all flavor text. But it's fun to I think it's fun to have that addition to it where if you do take something that it could help or hurt in the process.
Yeah. The design process that I had for the drugs in the Weirdspace system is a case of it's going to have a very, very short-term bonus for you, but could potentially have long-term negative effects. There's one called God Mode, which would just boost all of your stats by a full 100.
Oh, jeez.
However, after it's finished, it will permanently take them all down by, say, 20.
Seems worth it.
It might be worth it in the short term, one last-ditch effort, last stand kind of a situation there, but you can't do it too often.
You can do it 5 times.
At least.
You can do it 5 times if you've got 100% in something, but if you've got, a dump stat somewhere, maybe you've only got an IQ of 40 or something,
That's fair.
you end up burning out in next to no time. All that being said, as said in Red Dwarf, death is not the handicap it once was in my system. We've got things like robotic backup personality files. We've got you could be a hologram. You could put yourself in a new synthetic body if yours is burning out or you've done something really bad to it. You could have yourself uploaded as a computer program and put yourself in a spaceship or a new totally different non-human robotic body or some other piece of equipment. You could become a vampire or a werewolf and maybe trying to cheat death that way around. Bunch of different things. You could even, if you really wanted to, sell your soul to a demon.
That's how
Right,
we
like
get warlocks.
what's his name did.
Do you want warlocks? Because that's how you get
that's how
warlocks.
you get warlocks. Yep. Good Archer reference.
Archer, right. So you don't know Red Dwarf, but you do know Archer.
Yeah.
I found the level.
I was gonna say I'll go back later and after watching Red Dwarf, I'll edit in my reaction to the line you gave from Red Dwarf and be like, oh, or or something.
If it's not exactly like that, just take that clip that you just had.
Oh, that was my intent all along.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha. Got it.
For now on, every time there is supposed to be laughter, ha 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 ha.
I'll just save that audio clip for future use.
Damn it.
Yeah, set it as a ringtone or a text message thing coming through.
There you go, yeah. Oh, yeah, text tone. That's perfect.
If you did that, I would just keep texting you just to piss you off.
Oh, I know.
Until you changed it.
Yep. It wouldn't take long.
I just do what I do to Keith whenever he's like not paying attention. I'll send one letter at a time.
Oh, God.
It's fun.
Each time coming up with the ha 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 ha.
But she would send it so fast that it would like overlap itself. So it'd be like ha 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 ha.
Grief.
Stuttering laughter.
Until it...
Did you ever play a game? Did you ever play a game called Borderlands 2?
Yes, I love Borderlands, the whole series.
It just reminds me of the Bane weapon from that.
Yes, yes.
Really, really good high damage profile. However, that noise made it unusable.
Well, wasn't it also that it like killed your movement speed?
Oh, it really did.
Yeah. Like you're kind of given to a hobble at that point. Just getting anywhere in the game is a pain in the ass.
Oh yes, I'm playing through Borderlands 3 at the minute, and really looking forward to the next bit of DLC, going inside Krieg the Psycho's mind.
Yes. Oh God, so excited for that.
My absolute all-time favorite character in the Borderlands series was Krieg.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it just made the whole system, the whole game, just fresh again. Because instead of feeling like being shot and being in your fight for your lifetime was something that was really slowing the game down. Suddenly you're really fast, you're really hard, you're throwing dynamite sticks about, you're more dangerous when you're on fire.
Yeah, Krieg was definitely one of the better DLC characters for Borderlands 2.
Definitely. Apparently they're not doing any Borderlands DLC characters for number 3.
You don't think so?
No. Apparently what they're going to be doing is adding an extra skill tree to each of the characters instead.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, adding an extra level of customization to the characters.
I don't know if I like that.
As you might have already guessed, I'm a big fan of customization.
Yeah, very true.
So I do have some questions on here from my friends and people on Twitter.
All right.
So the first question is from Kirk at We Suck at D&D, and he goes, "How weird is the space in Weirdspace?"
On a scale of 1 to 10, hopefully a Spinal Tap 11.
That's another part where I'll edit in a laughter or whatever after I watch the movie.
Fair enough there, yeah. But yeah, I mean, each individual planet can be vastly different to the one next to it. We've also got things like asteroid belts or space clouds and nebulas and things like that, or just passing ships, derelicts and things like that. So there's a lot of different weird things we can have in this one. I mean, with the conversation we had with DM Zach the other day, we rolled up an entirely new planet, which is going to be the Kobold homeworld. It ended up being a cylindrical world where they're all on the inside of it, and they had these really big fluffy bat things as their main source of transport, shaving them down for wool, having them as meat and other things like that as well as. If if riding around in a fluffy bat as a space lizard doesn't sound weird to you, then maybe not. That's just something we came up with, in about 10 minutes of that particular interview.
Awesome.
So with any luck, it's going to be as weird as you'd like it to be.
Possibly weirder.
Possibly a little weird.
From Cassie at The Chosen Ones, they ask, how did you come up with the name, and were there any alternative names originally?
Yes, there was. In its work in progress stage, it started off life as being called Sci-Fi Bollocks.
I like that.
And we decided then that the area of space was going to be called Weirdspace, because by the time the humans got there, it was already really weird, and the name just stuck there. However, some of the more long-term players still refer to it as Sci-Fi Bollocks.
Weirdspace, aka Sci-Fi Bollocks.
Yeah, it's never meant to be taken too seriously.
I mean, that's a good place to start, is don't take this too seriously. Probably a disclaimer you should have at the beginning.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just look at Sharknado. I mean, the first movie, they took themselves super seriously, and then after that, they just went off the wall.
And now there's 6 of them.
They did?
Yeah. 6, yeah. 6.
How on earth could you take Sharknado seriously? Well, that's a bit of advice for anybody out there who happens to be thinking about releasing a new game, a new TV series, a new project, or a new book, or whatever like that. Just remember that at some point, somebody's walked into a meeting with the Sci-Fi Channel and gone, "You know what? I've got an idea about a tornado full of sharks."
Or 6 movies.
Yep.
6 movies later.
And there's also a 6-headed shark attack. There's a whole bunch of weird ones.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen Kung Fury?
Yes.
Yes. If there was ever going to be a game system where you could do that as a tabletop roleplay game, I would hope that Weirdspace would be that game.
Yes. Oh, God. That would be amazing.
If you wanted to play a dinosaur cop, you can do. If you want to fight Nazis, yes, you can.
As the dinosaur cop.
As dinosaur cop. If it's a case of, what year is this? It's the Viking Age. That explains the laser raptors.
Awesome. I love it.
Oh, yeah, it's entirely possible. It's entirely plausible, regardless of how implausible it might actually be. It all depends on your game system and the GM you've got.
That's fair. Andrew from the First Watch asks, what was the mechanics building process like?
Ooh, mechanics building. It's a case of enough with the premise of the percentile system, using some of the Inquisitor style weaponry as the baseline for that sort of thing, then realizing that it didn't fit to a tabletop roleplay game in any way, shape, or form, bumping up the damage profiles on some things, reducing the damage profiles on other, changing the amount of dice being used, scrapping most of that, and then having it be nothing more than D6s and D10s totals. And that's pretty much how it came about. And then we've got the psychics and the magics added in. Then the alien races came, which are mostly based on animals and creatures you can find on this planet, just taken to a bit more of an extreme.
It's fun.
So there's some some species on this planet that have got abilities that would just fit more with an alien race than it would do with something that should be more domesticated. It's like lions can just leap 20 feet. Fleas, based on the size of their body, can absolutely launch themselves the equivalent of about 100 foot of a human. Less said about the mantis shrimp, the better.
The mantis shrimp, nice.
It pretty much just clicks its fingers,
Mm-hmm.
or in this case its claw, creates a sound and light wave that knocks things out.
Yep, stuns them.
How is that not something out of a sci-fi film?
Yeah, seriously, very true.
Wasn't it yesterday
Yeah.
we were recording where I think Anne's the one that was talking about it with the lobster that could snap its hands shut and basically boil the water instantly?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was a really interesting thing. I can't remember if he was saying that was an actual creature.
No, I think it was
Like,
an actual
realized?
creature. But it wasn't a lobster, but it was like a lobster like
Oh, well, that's
creature.
horrifying.
That might actually be the mantis shrimp.
Maybe. I don't recall the name
Yeah.
of the creature off the top of my head.
It's also very, very colourful as well.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures, and I saw a video I think on Facebook relatively recently where a fish swims up to it and it does its little thing, snapping its claw, and the fish just blacks out, basically flops over, and then the mantis shrimp just goes up and grabs it and starts eating it. It was crazy looking.
Nom nom
Yeah.
nom nom nom.
Yeah, exactly right there. How terrifying would that be, scaled up to an alien species sort of race?
I don't
type
really want to
thing?
think
No
about it,
thanks.
to be honest.
No thanks. I'm good.
At that point, you're getting more into the Cthulhu elements again.
Yeah, very true.
I liked the meme or the memes that go around, or the little jokes that go around where aliens come to our planet and then explain things that are perfectly normal to us. And then they're like, this is absurd. What do you mean this is what happens?
I think I know exactly which ones you're talking about, and I thoroughly enjoy those as well.
Oh yeah, the Strange Planet ones.
I think so. It's like where humans are what was the term? Like there's something where humans basically are shedding their skin, and like that's extremely abnormal to the creatures, and there's just a bunch of weird things, or like house cats are like the bane of their existence. They're like, what do you mean they just have them in their house? They're vicious creatures.
I see you have brought a new creature into the house. Yes. What are its major traits? Oh, it scratches things and hides. Ah, an ideal companion.
And then we have to clean up its poop.
Yes.
Can you have it as a pet? No, we're more the pet to it, actually.
Exactly. It's our owner.
Well, dogs have owners, cats have staff.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Mhm.
So much so that we actually had to install a cat door in our bedroom. So, because as we were talking about at the beginning of the episode here, the cat just meowed at the door when we were trying to sleep, or in the morning when we were apparently too slow for its liking. So it would sit there and scratch under the door, meow at the door. So we actually went ahead and just installed a cat door so that it can come in and out as it pleases. So we had to adjust our life for that creature.
I wish I didn't have an apartment and could do that.
Oh, yeah, we live on the 5th floor as well. So it's unfortunately having another cat is just not a possibility at this moment in time. Yeah, one of those aspirational goals for the future, though.
The other one I've seen online that's really funny is when robots meet a cat for the first time, and they're like, what is it? And they're like, they do like research, but they don't have all of the research from the history. And they're like, it looks like it's a cat. I think it was the owner of humans.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, it's vibrating. What is it doing? It's
That's
like,
right,
I don't know. I
remember
think it's going to explode, though.
Do cats explode? Let me have a quick Google search. Exploding kittens has a lot of options. Ah.
Oh god.
I'm like, I can't find anything. You just have to keep petting it forever. Sorry, bye.
Oh yeah, they did that on the that Netflix show, Love, Death and Robots.
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Any one of those episodes could be a starting off point for a whole new game.
For sure. It's like very Black Mirror-esque in that sense.
Yeah. Do like Black Mirror.
Mhm.
Not easy to watch.
Oh, that's
at
what it's
times.
from, actually.
Oh, it is from Love, Death and Robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked up the picture to see what the robots look like. That's what
There
it
you
was
go.
from.
Yeah. I mean that one with the the fighting like Godzilla type creatures. That could just fit straight into another planet in Weirdspace without any hassles at all.
So, well, you heard it today, folks. If you want to play that world that I just completely blanked on the name, even though I just looked it
Love,
up.
Death and Robots?
Yes. You heard it today. If you want to play Love, Death, and Robots, you just need to get Weirdspace.
Oh, yes.
We'll edit that in post, hopefully.
It will. I won't.
Fix it in post.
Nope.
Greg, fix it or I'll make you sound stupid.
I mean,
in every Clear Light episode ever.
I say I do that pretty well on my own. Thank you.
Cheryl from Nature Check asks, why space? And what characteristics about a space-based game did you find challenging to build mechanics for, if any?
Ooh. Well, space is just big. There's a lot of different options in there with a lot of different planets. You can have completely different settings all within the same setting. So that's why space rather than just setting it on Earth. As far as the challenges are concerned, well, some of the environmental factors were quite difficult. Things like, if your character happens to find themselves outside of a spaceship, how long can they hold their breath for? How long are they going to survive before they freeze? Or, if they're walking through a cloud of poison gas, how is that going to affect a character? With a whole range of aliens involved in the situation as well as, not all of that was particularly easy. I think I pretty much figured it out though, hopefully.
Hopefully. If not, there's always room for a second book that will release new things.
Oh yeah, I've kind of had to draw a line under all the half-finished ideas that I could have stuck in the book because otherwise this thing's just never going to get released. As a brand new player to role-play games, you start thinking, oh right, well why didn't they just include this in the main book rather than have us spend money on a source book as well as? Once you start writing your own, it's a case of, well, actually no, it's a bit more clear now.
I get it.
You could have kind of got to put a line in the sand somewhere and say, right, this is what I'm putting in there. Every other idea could be in like a second edition or a source book or something. Because otherwise it will never get released.
Right.
That's for sure. And if you make it too big, people are going to be also turned off by that. Like,
well, potentially, yeah. You don't want anything that's too intimidating to pick up.
Exactly.
So it's like a hard line. You have to find where that fine line is.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think a smidgen under 300 pages is pretty much the ideal thing there. I mean, at the moment I've got 258 in the book, so roughly 260 pages there. Big enough so it doesn't look undersized on the shelf next to all the other books, but not too big that it's
intimidating
and scary to pick up because it's just too big and too complicated.
Yeah, and it's hard because like there's some of the TTRPGs that we've played recently. There was the one we just played for Lewd Grannies. That one was literally just a page, but the whole concept was very set in stone, one page. That's all you needed. There wasn't all this customization and stuff like that, where this is much more equivalent to like a whole system and not just like a one-shot game.
Yeah, this is more based on campaigns and more of a sandbox play style. It's a case of, right, here's a planet, here's a map of that particular city or whatever that's on this small world. Go have a wander. Go get yourself into trouble. And then it's down to the GM to give you just enough rope to hang yourself with. And then you can try and get yourself out of your problems you've just got yourself into.
Nice. It's very No Man's Sky, it seems.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I've not played that particular game. I mean, it had very, very negative reviews when it first came out.
Sure
but
did.
apparently, it's now the game that it was supposed to be to begin with.
Hopefully. I haven't played the new one, nor did I play the old one. I just know that the whole thing about that game initially was like, oh, it's all randomly generated, and it's like 1 billion different planets you can visit, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Seemed like a fun concept. I'm sad that it kind of flopped.
Oh, it flopped hard.
I want to try. Maybe one day I'll try the new one. I don't think I've played the original one.
I think it's I don't know if it's free anymore. I believe on the Game Pass it was free for a little bit.
But yeah, it's like the Defiance TV show / video game.
God, I missed
TV
that.
show, absolutely loved it. The video game though,
Yeah.
I played it from like day one because I loved the TV show, and the game just absolutely tanked.
Yeah, it
So
sure
later
did.
on, I gave the game away to a friend of mine. He got it, put all the updates on it, started playing it. He absolutely had a laugh right every time.
There you go.
Yeah.
I know they came out with a newer Defiance game as well. I believe it was Defiance 2050. I haven't played it, but I haven't heard great things, sadly. But I do miss the show quite a bit. I'm sad it got canceled.
Yeah, the show was brilliant. You got like a few, but not very many alien races, but they're all really well defined in one town.
Absolutely.
Again, Defiance is a game that you could very much have with the Weirdspace rule set.
Yeah, there's a quite a few things that were in one format that tried to go to another format and it just didn't work. And that happens quite frequently, unfortunately. Like the Dresden Files book series, for example.
Oh, I love that.
Some people like, very few people, but some people like the TV show, but the TV show didn't work out.
I did not like the TV show. I mean, they did have one or two little positive changes. For example, was it Bob the Skull?
Mm-hmm.
Having him being played by a proper actor rather than just being like a puppet or an animatronic skull or something, I think that worked out really well. The actor they got for Harry worked brilliantly as well, but there was no cat, there was no dog, there was no other characters. The vampire wasn't there.
How can you not have the vampires?
I know, right? I mean, granted, it got cancelled after one season. I can see why.
True.
So they didn't really have,
It sucked because I really wanted that to work out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like 8 or 9 of those books on my shelf at the moment.
There's 16 out now.
16? Oh, right.
16th one just came out.
Yeah, I know.
After a 6-year hiatus. And the 17th one is coming out soon.
Oh, right.
The other series that I thought didn't... Well, I refused to watch it because I was mostly mad, but there's a book series called Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And
oh, yeah, they made a film.
They made a movie for it, and I was super excited because I love the series. And then I was watching a preview, and they changed one of the main characters in the main character that the crush that the main character had was based off of a girl who is like a fire controller, basically. And they just changed her completely to a completely separate character because it fit the whimsical feel more. But I was just like,
artistic license, I suppose.
No, you ruined it. Like, I refused to watch it because it wasn't what I want. Like, that's not what the book was. And like the whole point between the two characters was their dynamic between each other. And the girl that they based it off of, I pictured as more of a child, so that took it away even more for me, because originally in the series, the girl who could float, which is who they based it off of, and basically had to be tied down or she would just float off into space. She became the love interest instead. But in the book, she was like in the body of a 7-year-old. And the other ones were like more in their preteen teenage years.
Yeah, my fiance had the exact same reaction to the Artemis Fowl TV series on Disney.
Mm-hmm.
She's a major fan of the books, but as soon as it started up, it was a case of, right, well, they changed that. That's wrong. That's not the same either. Oh, they've changed too much. Switch it off.
Yeah, there's a couple of series that do that, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like Horns by Joe Hill. That book to movie adaptation is almost spot on.
Great movie. I haven't read the book, but I love the movie.
Same, yeah. The thing is, there's sometimes as well where they make some changes, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Mm-hmm.
With the 90s TV series where they had cousin Ambrose and Salem the cat as the same characters, so they had a talking cat, which is completely different to the comics. And then we got the Netflix series where they split the characters back out again into 2 separate characters. But people wanted a talking cat.
Yeah.
So, you can't please anybody, can you? Well, you can't please everybody.
Nah, very difficult to do so.
However, on the flip side, annoying everybody's really easy.
Oh, God, yeah.
So the last question I had from Twitter people is Mike at Tales of Asperon. Tales of Asperon says, do you find the D100 systems to be more fun or comfortable than the D20 system? We kind of touched on this because it was based off experience and that's what you were used to.
Yeah, swings and roundabouts, really. I mean, with D&D, the D20 system, it works for that. You've got a specific number, you've got to try and roll over it. So higher numbers are better. With the D100, it's 2 dice instead of 1, but that's pretty much the only thing you need to roll dice for. It's always going to be, 1 for tens, 1 for units. It gives you a very clear-cut yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I went for it mostly because I was really unhappy with the White Wolf system. You've got a handful of 10-sided dice, but each one's only got a 3 in 10 chance of actually giving you a pass. So you've got a 70% chance on each of these individual dice of absolutely mucking it up. And even then, it's really wishy-washy. You've got like a degrees of passing and failing rather than just a clear-cut yes or no.
Hmm.
I much prefer the idea of just rolling the dice, full well before anybody's even looked at anything else, if you've passed or not. There's no have they passed it? Has it worked? No, it's a case of you roll 2, you have a look at it. Yes, that's worked. Or no, that's a critical fail. Oh dear.
Not a lot of math involved. There's no like, oh, what's my modifier for this roll?
Exactly right. I mean, if a GM wants to put a modifier on a roll before you make it, not a problem at all there. If it's the case of, you're trying to seduce the diplomat's daughter or what have you, and the diplomat's daughter is clearly into you, you might have a plus modifier on there. If, however, you're trying to seduce the diplomat's daughter, and she's already married to someone and very happily married to someone, then you're going to have some massive minus modifiers to it. Not impossible, but not likely.
I'm going to skip the daughter and just go straight for seducing the diplomat.
Fair enough. The diplomat happens to be an alien fish.
Awesome. That's my kink. Perfect.
So the last question I have before we get to where can we find out the information from the Kickstarter is, what is your favorite story that you've done in this world or in this game?
Oh, there's so very many. There's one where my Felis character, my ginormous 7-foot-tall cat, ended up messing around with the time machine and became his own father by meeting somebody in a prison.
Wow, the Futurama effect.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. There was the breakout from an underwater prison. That was a completely different story altogether there. There's one time when they found a shaman who had a magic item generator in the back of his hut. However, he did not understand what money was, so he was only going to do things with the bartering system. So we ended up trading him a vial of liquid that glows under UV light for a magical item. So, ooh, turns out, and this is absolutely scientifically accurate, you can look this up on Google if you like, cat pee will glow under UV light.
Yes, it will. That's awesome.
So we literally traded a jar of cat pee for a magic sword.
Amazing. The bartering system's very strong.
Yep. And that's the kind of daft and silliness you can expect with this sort of system.
Amazing.
So where can we find you, and where can we find out everything about Weirdspace?
Right. Well, if you're on Twitter, we've got the Twitter handle of @WeirdSpaceRPG. If you're on Facebook, go to facebook.com/WeirdSpaceRPG. If you're on DriveThruRPG, we've got DriveThruRPG.com. Just look for Weirdspace, all one word, or you can look for me as the author, Paul Catt. And yeah, we've got a free 50-page version of the book on the on DriveThru at the moment. 30 pages of that is a one-shot adventure which you can play. It takes about 4 to 6 hours. It also comes complete with a series of pre-generated characters as well, so you can see what sort of thing you can let yourself in for.
Awesome. And we are going to be playing a one-shot of Weirdspace that will be released on the 24th of September. So please check that out as well, and you can see what shenanigans we get ourselves into.
I'm excited.
Already got a plot line done out for that one. It's going to be a market research thing. In other words, you're going to be given a nice 6-pack of blackout beer.
Oh, good.
And every time you have finish a bottle of that, you're going to black out and wake up in a weird and wonderful situation, because we've got the morning after table in the book. This is a scenario I've run a fair few times, actually, and it keeps getting sillier every single time we run it.
Nice.
Awesome. I'm super excited. Can't wait for that.
I will
Yay.
also provide the link to the Kickstarter once we have it in the description below, so please go check that out. I'll also be sharing that on our Twitter @BeholderToNoOne, and you can listen to the one-shot at BeholderToNoOne on anywhere that podcasts are found. So thank you, Paul, for joining us. It has been a blast.
Thank you very much for your time.
And keep being awesome, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.